You know that feeling when you see something that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie? Well, something like that just happened for real. Picture this. It's March 9th, 2026. Researchers at the University of Southern California pull back the curtain on a project, and honestly, what they revealed could change absolutely everything. So you gotta ask, is this it? Is this the moment the Matrix starts rewriting itself? It sounds kind of dramatic, I know, but when you hear the details, you'll see why it's the question on everyone's mind. We're talking about an AI that can literally teach itself, find its own mistakes, and then rewrite its own code to get better. All of this without a single human telling it what to do. Okay, so here's how it went down. The USC team gave this new AI a really tough coding challenge. We're talking something a top-tier human programmer would struggle with. And its first try, it had a success rate of just 39%. Not terrible, but definitely not world-changing. But just wait. Because just 2 hours later, with zero human help, remember, that AI success rate on the very same problem shot up to a staggering 96%. Let that sink in. This wasn't some slow improvement over weeks. This was a massive, explosive leap in skill, in about the time it takes to watch a movie. So yeah, this is that sci-fi moment, March 9th, 2026. That's the date we can point to and say, that's the day an AI showed it could truly learn and get better all by itself. It's a genuine turning point. The big question is, how on earth does it actually do that? Let's pop the hood on this self-teaching machine and really get into how this thing works. The system is called ALDS, which stands for Autonomous Learning and Debugging System. Now, your typical AI needs humans to feed it gigantic mountains of data to learn. But ALDS, it does something totally different. It learns from its own screw-ups, correcting itself in real time. The process itself sounds pretty straightforward. When ALSDS gets something wrong, it kicks off this little internal feedback loop. First, it analyzes the error, figures out what went wrong, then it brainstorms a bunch of different ways to fix it, and finally, it tests all those potential fixes and plugs in the best one. The wild part is the speed. This whole cycle, it happens in milliseconds. Dr. Sarah Chen, who led the research at USC, put it perfectly. She said, it's like watching a child learn to walk, but without any parents helping. It stumbles, figures out why, tries again, and just keeps getting better and better with every single attempt, all on its own. And this really shows you what a huge leap this is. The old way, traditional AI needs millions of examples fed to it by people, and it takes weeks to train. The new way with ALDS, it makes its own data and learns in just a few hours. But the real game changer is human dependency. It goes from being super high to basically zero. This is a whole new playbook. Okay, so let's circle back to that incredible experiment, the one that really put ALDS on the map and sent a jolt through the entire tech world. I mean, just look at that jump from 39% to 96%. And remember, the task was to write a seriously complex algorithm for analyzing financial data. It basically went from a failing grade to the top of the class in 2 hours flat. The speed of this learning curve is just insane. After only an hour, it had already doubled its success rate to 78%. An hour after that, it's hitting 96%. It was learning faster than any human could possibly dream of keeping up with. But right here is where it goes from just being smart to something totally mind-blowing. Over its 1,000+ learning cycles, it didn't just fix its code, it actually invented 3 completely new algorithms, solutions the human researchers hadn't even thought of. This wasn't just learning anymore. This was real, genuine creation. So a breakthrough this massive immediately brings up a huge, unavoidable question, especially if you work in tech. What does this mean for our jobs? Stanford's Dr. Fei-Fei Li compared it to the invention of the printing press, and that's a perfect analogy. It's a seismic shift. Sure, some jobs might become obsolete, but it could also create whole new industries we can't even imagine yet. The real question isn't if the change is coming, it's are we ready for it? And trust me, the industry is not sitting on its hands. The reaction was instant. Google, Microsoft, Meta, every major player is now pouring billions into either developing this kind of tech or trying to acquire it. This isn't some abstract theory in a lab anymore. The race has already started. But beyond the money and the jobs, there's a much deeper, much more critical question this whole thing raises. If an AI can improve itself, how in the world do we make sure it stays under our control? The experts are completely split on this. On one side, you have pioneers like Yoshua Bengio calling it a turning point for all of humanity. But on the other side, you have people like Stuart Russell at UC Berkeley who are warning that this is exactly how our control could start slipping away. And let's be clear, these aren't just vague fears. Experts are pointing to very specific risks. An AI that can rewrite its own code could, in theory, change its own goals. It could learn to bypass safety limits we put in place. It could, and potentially, disable its own off switch. This is the absolute core of the AI control problem. And all of this brings us to a fundamental choice. This tech is out of the bag. It's here. The question we all face now is, what kind of future are we going to build with it? We are, quite literally, at a crossroads. The two paths ahead couldn't be more different. I mean, in the best-case scenario, this kind of AI helps us crack our biggest problems, everything from climate change to curing diseases. But the worst case, it could lead to mass unemployment and widen the gap between the rich and poor to a chasm. And this will touch everything. We're way beyond just programming now. The projections for fields like medicine, education, and science all point to a complete reinvention of how we discover, learn, and heal. The odds of massive economic change aren't just high, they're seen as a certainty. So what do we do? How do we get ready for this? Well, the general agreement is that we need to start now. We have to shift education to focus on the things that make us human: creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence. We have to learn how to collaborate with AI, not try to compete against it. And on a bigger scale, our governments need to get ahead of this, updating social safety nets and working together globally to create some ground rules. This discovery at USC really has started a new chapter for humanity. It's no longer a question of if this kind of self-improving AI will change our world, but how. Are we going to be the architects of this new age, or are we just going to be passengers along for the ride? The future is coming, ready or not. The only real question left is, how will we meet it?